Welcome to this week's Cattle Call. I'm Susan Littlefield on the Rural Radio Network. That old saying about what comes up must go down, but unfortunately the downside of what we're seeing in this cattle market brings with it a lot of frustration. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, as a cattle producer, where you should be. What are you doing when you're looking at these markets? And of course, no better to bring into this conversation is Brad Kooima. Brad is with Kooima Kooima Varilek out of Sioux Center, Iowa. He wears two hats. He talks markets all day long, but he also gets it because he feeds cattle. And Brad, this market frustration, I mean, the drop that we're seeing, you and I are doing this on a Wednesday at a midday. It is not a beautiful picture on the screen by any means.
Not even a little bit. Thanks for having me on, I guess. I think you oversell my that I'm such an expert here and what to tell you here. But maybe you had the what goes up must come down saying I've got one taped to my inside of my desk here, up on the stairs and down on the elevator. There's another one you can write down. And, it seems like we go up slowly and methodically. And at any point, we have the chance that there's something perceived, real or not, in the news that makes you go sharply lower. So yesterday, obviously, and today, both, I believe we're trading the market trying to get its head around the announcement that the USDA, and not just the USDA, three organizations, the height of ridiculous, in my opinion, are going to test ground beef and now muscle cuts at a retail level. That means that they're going to go to Hy-Vees and the Costco's and the whatever your local grocery chain is, and randomly test to see if there's any indication that there's anything residual from bird flu. How about this for a concept? Why wouldn't you test it out the back door of the packer? You could assure everyone that even though it's safe, you could cook it, blah, blah, blah. That's what they're going to say. Why not stop it there instead of letting it into the food chain? This is ridiculous, in my opinion. I got even a better idea yet. Let's find a sick old cow and let's test the shit out of her, excuse my language, and find out whether there's anything in there or not. Now, the latest move here today, Susan, is particularly exasperating and frustrating to me. So the USDA comes out with a deal a little while ago and says, we're going to have a press conference tomorrow at 2:00. And we broke $3. We broke $3 just like that. And, we don't know what the press conference is even about. But the assumption is a quick market leaps to the conclusion that it's got to be bad news, right? So I don't know that it is. I could see a way that maybe it could be good news, actually. Maybe they did a few tests, they can't find it. Maybe they'll do a better job of saying, hey, guess what, guys? You got to cook your meat, just like always. Same thing with pasteurized milk. Even when they found elements of that in there, it's pasteurized, it's safe, it's fine. The spin that's coming off on this thing is, I don't know, it's particularly frustrating to me. Maybe it's because I'm getting old and I'm getting, impatient with this sort of stupidity. The risk here, of course, is that you erode customer confidence, right? Firstly, and secondly, maybe I don't know which order it is, but the other thing is, if you have a country that's looking for an excuse to halt imports, here you go. So I would like to think at the end of the day that cash and the fundamental of the market, and that is that these numbers are much, much tighter than what people had thought and what the USDA told us it was going to be back in the fourth quarter with those bearish cattle on feeds. They're not out here in the north. I've got stories. We had 187 traded up here yesterday, fully steady. The spread tilt, while we're talking, June cattle are $1 lower. They've rallied 100 points since we started this little thing. So there's a fundamental side of this market that gives me some hope, but it is exasperating when you're dealing with the unknown, because uncertainty, unfortunately, is consistently negative, right? And that's just what it is. It chases the long speculator.
So, Brad, for that cattleman who relies on consumer confidence in their product, who relies on a market that is true in the price discovery, what do you tell them at this point? What type of conversations do you have as they've got the banker breathing down their neck, or they need to make space in those pens?
Yeah, I know. It's you even wonder if that was part of the deal today. Whether was there some forced selling? Selling encouraged by potentially a lender saying that this is just too big of a risk off time here, that we need to do something about it. I don't have the magic bullet answer. I feed cattle too. I get it. I know what that feeling of an elephant standing on your chest is like. Yesterday, Tuesday, when the news, Monday, when the news started to come out, late in the day Monday. It broke it was just near the close that this announcement that they were going to start testing. Tuesday, we tried to get pretty aggressive with, hey, let's buy some out of the money put options just in case. I don't think this is a good place to run at hedges, but if you got to do something, slide some put options, go right up front, because this news is bearish up front, in my opinion. Consider whether something like that, it is necessary to manage some of the risk here. What frustrates me is the lack of clarity, and maybe even to the point of the lack of getting in front of this news by some of the cattle organizations. I don't know how I would have done it differently, other than you got to give assurances to the people that eat our product that it's safe. We've got to do everything we can do. Even on the rare chance that somehow this bird flu went from birds to cows to somehow getting in the food chain, we've got to know that it's safe. You got to know that as long as you cook this hamburger, it's okay. And the odds of it getting there are not good. I mean, it hasn't been proven that it's gone into muscle tissue yet. So right. I don't know. I hope we can get in front of it, and we will. I don't think this is quite like the pink slime thing that I've looked at that comparison, lived through that too. Of course, 2012, you went from 128 on April 1 to 112 on May 1. Yeah, I remember that. Okay, and that was a little different, though. I mean, you remember that crap on the national news, pink slime and how horrible it was, when in fact it was probably the safest meat product that had ever been released to the public, and had never, ever had a single recall. The way we handle the misinformation here is just absolutely exasperating.
So is there a silver lining right now? I mean, can we say it is May, we're almost to Mother's Day, let's get those grills out? Even though
I'd like to think that okay, if they think we got to test it in this ridiculous fashion, wait till it gets to Hy-Vee. Well, then let's go ahead and let's figure it out. Then that okay, we're doing everything we can to make sure that your food source is safe. We're gonna, and it is safe. If that's the case, then I think you can maybe get through this period here in a couple of weeks. It'll take a while, because every day you're going to go like, okay, I haven't heard anything. Remember last week we talked about it. Hadn't heard anything for a week, right? We shifted our focus to worrying about Iran, Israel, stuff like that. And then all of a sudden now here it is back in the news again. And that's going to be a problem. It's going to be like the girl in the closet, right? Maybe we get down the road 2 weeks and then we'll still have some other ridiculous thing come up, about it. I'd like to think, though, let's do this here on Mother's Day week, and let's see if we aren't talking about a different kind of market. Don't forget, guys, there's no more cattle for the fourth quarter and the first quarter of next year than there was yesterday or before last week. This issue, I think, is going to get behind us here this is sooner rather than later deal. We're still going to go into the tightest supply in the history of fed cattle. So, long term, it still sets up for a great opportunity, but in the short term, buckle up, be careful.
All right, Brad, I really appreciate you joining us this week. What's the best way for folks to get a hold of you?
The bar. Just kidding. KKVtrading.com is our website. 712-722-0023. We'll be all right.
All right. Just a reminder, see, local beef bought from the grocery store. It is safe to eat, folks. Just do your research and remember.
Now you're talking. Good work.
It is May Beef Month. So May, enjoy the beef. And that's this week's Cattle Call right here on the Rural Radio Network.